Hello, my name is Dave Koopman, and I'm a teaching and learning consultant for Prometheum. I was asked to show some folks some simple and quick ideas of what you can do just when you're getting started with ActiveInspire and other bits of the Promethean hardware and software. So to start off with, really simple, how does this make anything better than a typical dry erase whiteboard or just PowerPoint? And one thing that I absolutely loved, now these are going to be mostly elementary examples, is that in the classroom you're always teaching students how to form letters, and so obviously you want this lined paper. On a dry erase whiteboard, you spent half the time making this paper and only a fraction of the time modeling proper letter formation. But with ActiveInspire, you can start from a blank page and one click of a button get some more lined paper, write on that, go blank page, more lined paper, and as you can see over on the left here, we've archived the previous pages, so once we're on to making I's, I can go back and show them how to, remember how to make the J's and so on. Another example, we have making words, and there are different varieties of this. We can always customize it as well, but if I pull in the, bag here, and then pull up the letters to that, but then maybe I pull in the bat, and there's lots of different ways we can play this game, and I can have the students write the words when they're done. I don't have to use the images at all, and I can just say make whatever words you can, and then change one letter, write the next word, and so on. A page like this is actually one of my favorite pages, and the reason this is great is because it's very interactive, and we're using virtual manipulatives to model the concept for students. So if we start off with a square, we might ask our students, what is the area of this square? And they might not know right off the bat. That's the whole point of the lesson. And so how many squares across the top? 3. How many down the sides? 3. They can count the number of squares in the middle. I can make things a little bit more translucent to show them the grid underneath so that they can count 9. They should be able to see 9. But then ultimately we realize there's 3 here, that there's 9 in the middle. And maybe we start to write this down a little bit. So 3 across the top, 3 on the side, and then we end up with 9. But what I could do from there is I could make it a little bit larger and ask them to count, all right, how many in the middle now? And so you and I know, looking at this, that there's going to be 16. How many across the top? 4. How many down the side? 4. Because math is all about patterns, and this is one way to get them to easily see the patterns. And so we keep going, 5 and 5, 25, and we write things down like that, and then we talk about, well, what operation could go here to make a number sentence or an equation out of that? And they're really going to get the picture. I can easily reset any of these pages with my reset button, the little red arrows up at the top, and ultimately we figured out the area of the square, but what we can do from there is we can drag in a triangle and ask them the area of this. They can say, okay, I see 1, 2, 3 squares, put these together, that's 4, 4.5. And what we want them to do, now I'm going to really overly simplify this, but we can drag in this and get them to see the relationship of the 2 triangles to the square that we had before. And then once we do that, we can continue on, can bring in this and get them to see that this is just a square and 2 triangles as well. And if you really want to challenge any of these shapes, we can actually drag one of these guys up and give the students the pen at the end and say, there you go, and ultimately get them to draw some lines and realize that it's just a bunch of triangles and squares. Something like this, this derived from, at least I remember trying to teach this concept of how many possible combinations are there, and you either ended up trying to draw little pictures for each one of these, and it just took a long time and things just never looked accurate, or trying to write something such as white bread with cheddar cheese and tomato, white bread, cheddar cheese, lettuce, and by the time you were done writing it, you had either lost your mind or your dry erase whiteboard was a complete mess. So what we have here is an easy way to just drag things down and model this for the students, and we can continue to drag them down, and you can make these smaller if you need more room. You can change things around a lot. I've got another page here that uses clothing, and I've just changed a few things, and I've got a red jacket and a blue jacket, a red scarf and a blue scarf, and so on. This type of page is also great for modeling, in this case, area and perimeter. The students can see, well, they count the area, they count the perimeter. Then as we move some of these up here, we can try to find, well, as the area always stays the same, the perimeter changes. For instance, maybe I make one very long line with only 1 unit high. The perimeter is going to be very different than if it looks like that, or if I make a complete square out of it. So once again, modeling. These are things that you can't do as easily with either PowerPoint or a dry erase whiteboard. Something like this, if you have the need to teach using a coordinate grid, this is going to be your best friend. And you can take the pen and you can connect these. You can even use, we have a shape tool here, and you can connect other things by making straight lines like that. You can really go crazy with it. Page reset will bring it back to the way that it was. I actually prefer to leave this and duplicate the page so I can always refer back to the previous things. Once again, something that came out of a need that I had in the classroom. If I had 4, let's see, 2, 7, 5, and then I can drag in some operations here. So maybe 4 times 2. And bring some of these in. I just wanted to be able to show the students that wherever I put my parentheses, it changes how things work. Okay, obviously now I've got 2 minus 7. Very different problem than I start off with 4 by 2, and now I'm doing 8 minus 7. So, but just moving the parentheses around, it makes it easier for the students to conceptualize. Something like this is a type of page I might use in a calendar activity every morning, and so I bring these guys out. How much do they cost? So I'm just using a tool called Magic Ink to take a look at those. I add them up using my pen tool right over here, and ultimately I want the students to come up and say, can you please make me 45 cents? So they might start off by dragging in 45 pennies. That's fine. At the end of the year, if they're still doing 45 pennies is the only way they know how, then they haven't progressed. The next question might be, who can make 45 cents using a different combination, or the least amount of money? Then, once again, towards the end, I bring up something like a $5 bill and say, okay, please make me change now. And you really want to go crazy. You say, maybe I'm making a fruit salad, and I don't want 1 strawberry in my fruit salad, but I'm probably going to end up with 50 strawberries, or packs of strawberries. And so you really end up multiplying decimals. So you're bridging from the familiar into new material. This is here just to show that you can take snapshots of things that are on the page. Now I'm not going to wait for the video to progress a whole lot, but if I get 4 snapshots, and assuming that they were very different pictures, I can always copy and paste, maybe bring them over onto a blank page, lay them out on my page here, and now we're interacting with the media rather than just viewing that static media and saying, okay, there it is. And that's what you want when you're using video, is for your students to be thinking about something rather than just passively watching it. And what I've done right here is I've just set this up so I can ask some questions. Now if I have learner response devices, I can have my students put these in order of how they occurred, or identify the phase in which such and such occurs, or whatever it may be. So lots of different ways to do this. One other great resource is the resource library here. Now there's thousands and thousands of backgrounds, images, sounds, icons, pre-made pages such as this one, which is one of my favorites. It's an interactive hundreds chart. And so obviously I can do just like this and have the students highlight certain numbers. In this case, oh, please highlight all the multiples of 2 in red, or highlight the multiples of 4 in orange. And I can keep doing things like that. Highlight all the multiples of 10. But down here, if I, let's say, maybe get rid of the numbers, this is great to see how students really understand the patterns. Because if I put this over here, I might ask the students, what number is that? Now, they might know that that's 100. They might know that that's 1, and so that's 2. But if I put this here, do they know to start at 100 and then count back? So these are things that we need to teach them, and this is a great way to model that. So I've played games with my students where I might put this here and say, what number is that? Now you're going to have some students that try to count all the way across, but really it might be easier to go 1, 2, 3, add 10 is 13, 23, 33. Are we right? There we go. So if I reset this page again, it brings it back to the way that it was. You can also blank out some of these numbers. Drag this, which is magic ink, onto here. And I might say, well, what number is down right here? What number is over here? What number is 10 more, 10 less? So all different kinds of questions that we can ask the students to really get them thinking on a higher level. And realizing that numbers are all about patterns, and through those patterns you can really figure out a lot of great things. So you've seen a bunch of samples of pages, all different kinds of things. The very last thing I want to show you is to make sure that if you go to Promethean Planet, which is prometheanplanet.com, free account, go get one today. There are thousands, it even says here, how many? So 50,000 resources right now as of this date. And so the vast majority of them are free, although we do have a lot of great publisher-created resources as well. And if you just type something in here, you can figure out what you are going to be teaching today and get some pre-made lessons that you can very easily customize and make your own and combine and so on. So happy lesson creation, and this will really change the way teaching and learning goes on in your classroom for both you and your students.